All right, today, it's the news. It's what's happening. How does Jesus want us to deal with the racial commentary of today's society? You've got an opinion. Frank's got an opinion. I want to hear it. 244-0077 today live on The View.
Welcome to The View from a Pew, a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 244-0077. That's 244-0077. Now, here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, 4 minutes after the hour, Frank's in the verse. Ryan's producing. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and let's check out today's headlines and top three stories. There's a national protest erupting over an immigrant's arrest in Iowa. He's a pastor. He's a good family man, but his time is up. He's an illegal alien. And the bleeding hearts are crying from the preacher's bench. How can good men of God follow this law and send this man home? Second of all, telemed abortion is being argued before the Iowa Supreme Court today. I don't know what the argument is. I don't. They're going to kill babies no matter what. I mean, I don't want to have telemed abortion. That just seems. I mean. It's ridiculous. But the whole abortion thing is ridiculous. Somebody who loves Jesus, call me up and tell me why abortion's okay. But you got to love Jesus. I understand those heathens. But you got if you love Jesus and you're okay with abortion, I promise I won't make fun of you. I just need to know how you do. How do you do Jesus and killing babies in the same deal? And finally, we got to worry. We got to talk about this racial commentary in this country. And it came home to Des Moines today. We'll talk about that and other news stories later on, live here. And that's the news on The View from a Pew on The Truth. Frank, today probably should have been a day that I just called in sick.
And stayed home.
I'm irritated. Chris Roloff, if you're listening, I don't know. We don't have a delay, do we? Ooh, it could be bad today. I'm
frustrated.
I'm beside myself. Here's the story. This happened in Des Moines. Headline is Man Calls McDonald's Toys Racist and then is arrested for threats. Lance Jordan Williams, 34, African-American, was arrested on assault and disorderly conduct charges at a local McDonald's. Police arrived at the McDonald's at about 1:30 in the afternoon and found Williams, who had entered the store to buy a water. The manager said a person with Williams had bought a sandwich, then returned it, claiming someone else had taken a bite out of it. Frank, quick look. Do I have stupid written on my forehead?
Yes. No.
Williams reportedly became verbally abusive and loud toward restaurant staff, wanting to stand up for the, are you ready? Quote unquote, perceived injustice of his friend. The manager then gave them their money back, hoping the two would leave. But that didn't quell Williams. He said McDonald's, quote unquote, was a racist restaurant because Happy Meal toys didn't have dark skin. He reportedly then called the manager white trash and another person who was Latino, Sanchez, and Mexican. The manager called 911 several times during the incident because she told police Williams made several threats to jump over the restaurant counter and take 2 people hostage there. Williams again turned to the person he called Mexican and said, "I'm going to show you what Mayweather is going to do to Pacino," citing an upcoming professional boxing match. That person told police he feared Williams would hit him. Then, when police arrived, Williams was hostile towards officers who advised him that he was pursuing his civil issue with the restaurant in the wrong way. But Williams reportedly refused to listen and continued to yell at the officers and the other victims. Williams then used his cell phone to capture video as he argued with the McDonald's staff. He was placed into custody, transported to Polk County Jail, but released within 24 hours. And there you are, Mr. Williams, your 15 seconds of fame.
Well, apparently it sounds like to me these guys had little or no money and were looking for a free meal.
Hey, somebody put a bite out of my sandwich. Really? You really think that that's going to happen? That somebody's going to serve you a McMeal with a human bite out of it? Seriously? I want to know what you think about this. 244-0077. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this worldview. I don't care what color your skin is. What I care about is your worldview. And Mr. Williams's worldview is that he's entitled and that he needs to throw the race card every place he can go. Mr. Williams, I have a question for you. If McDonald's is racist, why do you go there? If McDonald's is such a racist company, why do you go there? What in your worldview tells you that you should be a customer of a company that you think is racist? Frank, isn't the hypocrisy right there enough to drive you crazy?
Yeah, it surely is. But my biggest concern about this is we keep talking in this country that we want to move past race, but we can't move past race if we don't move past race. So apparently this guy's taking his cues from Eric Holder in the Justice Department and Barack Obama that can't seem to move us past race in this country.
By the way, didn't we hear that the Justice Department found the officer in Ferguson innocent?
Darren Wilson, basically, from what I've attained on this, is Darren Wilson has basically been found that he done exactly what he was supposed to do, and that they found no racism or no racial intent in what happened in Ferguson, Missouri.
But wait. I thought the lead story on the national news a few days ago was that they found the Ferguson Police Department to be filled with racism. Wasn't that the lead story with Barbara Walters or whoever does the news? I know she's way outdated. Brian Williams. Oh, no, he's outdated too.
They found what they described as a setting of racism in the department.
Perpetuancy? Is that the right word? Of racism? Here's what drives me crazy. They say that like 77% of the population in Iowa prisons are African American. But the population in Iowa for African Americans is like 12%. So they want me to reason. See, that's the wrong question. They want me to reason that we're putting more black people in prison than whites. Why, Frank? Because they've done more wrong? No. Because they do most of the crimes? No. It's because they have black skin.
They're being profiled.
My guess is 77% of the population in Iowa are African Americans because the majority of African Americans do most of the crime. Oh, did I just say that? Oh, my, was that a racist statement? No, that was a truth-based statement. There's nothing more truthful than what I just said. If 77% of the population in Iowa in prison, in Iowa prisons, the population in Iowa prisons is African American, then that means that 77% of the crimes that deserve prison are done by black people. But oh my gosh, where's Lance Jordan Williams at this moment? My heavens, that's racist. No, Mr. Williams, it's the fact, Jack. And you walking into a McDonald's restaurant and trying to get a free meal and then raising heck and claiming that it's going against your civil whatever.
Civil liberties.
Is very, 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 very ignorant of you. Don't you understand, Mr. Williams? You are a little boy in a 34-year-old man's body. You have a victim mentality. You have a worldview that says, for some reason, because of the color of your skin, you're entitled. Well, you know what, Frank? Who can blame him? What's gone on in this country since Martin Luther King has been racist. You have to have so many colored black African Americans. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm scared to death I'll call them the wrong thing. I can't call them what they call themselves, the N-word. Don't worry, Chris, I won't do it. But we have, what was that called? There's a term that we did in America when we had to have so many people at work had to be...
Affirmative action.
Affirmative action. Thank you very much. I'm old and I'm stupid and I'm losing my mind. Affirmative action. The most racist thing any country could ever do. I don't care if you're qualified in your job or you have the skills or the talent. If your color of your skin is not white, we have to prefer you for the job. Or if your gender isn't male, we have to prefer you for the job. Or if you're gay, we have to prefer you for the job.
Well, the affirmative action was started under what we refer to, and the gays have hijacked, and we won't get off on the gays, but they've hijacked what was called the Equal Protection Clause that was come up by Harry Blackmun, Justice Harry Blackmun in the 1960s under LBJ. And what Equal Protection Clause promised was equality of opportunity. It was not ever designed to be equality of results.
Quality of opportunity.
Equality of opportunity. Equal opportunity, not equal results.
You know, I have a friend of mine, and I won't say his name because he's not here, but I love this man. He says the problem with America when it comes to race is that we have white guilt. That we feel as the majority. Although, are we still in the majority? I don't know if whites are still the majority.
Yes, we are.
And you and I, Frank, we're the devil because we're like men over 50 and we're white. And that we have guilt because of what happened in this country 100 years ago, 150 years ago, 200 years ago. Now, I will share with you a story when we come back that's true, that drove the narrative of Ferguson, so we can really understand where this worldview comes from. And then we'll let you decide. Phone lines are open, 244-0077. When can we get rid of the racial commentary in America? And what would Jesus tell us to do? It's next, live.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
21 minutes after the hour. Beautiful day, a warm spring day. If you're listening to this live on the radio or through the internet, thank you very much for listening. Appreciate you taking the time. If you're listening to this on a podcast, I thank you even more because you have an unlimited amount of choices with today's technology to listen to whatever you choose to or watch whatever you choose to, and for whatever reason you've chosen this. Every once in a while in the life of a talk show host, and I've been doing this a little over 40 years, I get to use this wonderful gift that God has given me as a soapbox. Some would say a bully pulpit, but the phone lines are open. So if you think it's a bully pulpit, then put your money where your mouth is and call in. I won't hang up on you. I won't treat you poorly. I'll treat you as a guest in my own house because I need somebody to tell me a couple things. I need somebody who loves Jesus to tell me how they think abortion is okay. And then I need someone of a skin color other than white to explain to me how we're going to get rid of this racial commentary in America. And I'm talking about two stories that are top news right now. Let's go to the abortion for a minute. Today, as we speak, I just think of all the things that money can buy that people need help with. All the people that are homeless, all the children who don't have the right medicines, the people who are starving, the people who are being murdered by religious zealots and other people, about a little country named a little community called Jerusalem, how they are surrounded by the enemy like no other time in history, and that enemy has sworn to wipe them out and to nuke them. Daisy cut them is a term we used to use. Millions and millions and millions of people want to destroy this sliver of land that is smaller than the panhandle of Nebraska, about the size of Rhode Island. And there are all these people who have no morals, nothing to follow other than the hate and greed that fills their life, to kill this country. And yet, today, there are thousands of dollars, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars being spent every hour on lawyers and justices so we can argue the following: whether the state regulators in Iowa legitimately tried to protect patient safety when they ordered limits on telemedicine abortion systems, or if they were really trying to limit access to a safe, legal form of, love this term, are you ready? Healthcare. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, abortion is now called healthcare.
Well, Mac, the sad part about this story is tying in the black community and abortion was really designed to eliminate the black community.
Yeah. Margaret Stanger. Did I get that name right?
Sanger,
Something
like
that.
I think.
Yeah. She invented Planned Parenthood because she hated black people and she wanted to eliminate them.
And the vast majority of abortions in this country are by black women. So it looks like Sanger's gotten her way.
My mother, who's an incredibly smart woman, Superior Court Justice, legal mind, just a neat lady. When Missouri was happening, what was the name? Ferguson,
Missouri.
When Ferguson was happening, I called her up and I said, help me understand. Please help me understand where this worldview comes from. That why, when a law officer discharges his weapon to protect himself, and a person that isn't white loses their life, why does an entire country go berserk? Why do they march down the streets yelling murder, kill the cops, burning and looting their own community? Help me make sense of that. Because I'm old, and I'm white, and I don't know why we put up with it. So here's the story she told me, and there's actually a book out there. I'll get you the name of the book if you want to write me, and I'll give it to you. Where this guy did an incredible, extensive research on the number of black Is it black? Is it colored? Is it African American? Frank, what's the proper?
Well, the proper
People who
term
aren't
now
white?
is African American.
Okay. African American men in small towns would disappear. And what would happen is the local sheriff, and this basically happened in the South, because the South is just filled with those God-fearing Democrats who just love equality. The slave owners of the previous century, the 19th century. A young black man or black woman would be arrested, usually on phony charges. They'd have no representation. And the judge would enter a despicable sentence, 20 years, 5 years, whatever it is. $50,000 fine. Now, Frank, this was back when $50,000 would buy anything. You could buy a house for 10 and a car for 4. Yeah.
House and a car.
And some white plantation owner would step up with a wink and a grin and say, well, Judge, I'll be glad to pay this man's fine if he'll agree to work on my plantation. This is called a bond slave. Work on my plantation for those 5 years. And the judge would pound his gavel and say, done. And the black man, the African-American man or woman, would disappear. They had no rights. That's why Martin Luther King deserves every amount of praise that he gets, because in the midst of the lion's den, like Daniel, he stood up and said, no more. And I'm going to do it peacefully. And he changed the heart of this country, except for white racists. I grew up in a town of 12,000 people, and there were 2 black men. They were brothers. They were twins. One was the shoe shine guy, and the other one ran the electric utilities. They had no children, no wives. They lived together. And I never saw a person of color do anything other than what my dad did or what I did. Never had a sense of race at all. Didn't matter. Martin Luther King came along and he said, we shouldn't be drinking out of drinking fountains that are just for us. We shouldn't not let people of skin color different than us sit at the back of the bus or not on the bus at all or at a different counter. Or, I can't believe the way we treated people in this country. Where were the Christians? Where were the good people of Jesus when these people that had a different color of skin than theirs were treated like this?
A lot of Christians had a white hood on.
Yeah. So Martin Luther King came along and said, no more. And it started to reverse itself. It started to reverse itself in the government. In fact, the pendulum probably swung too far. You were talking about affirmative action. Now, apparently nobody disagrees with me. 244-0077. Because I tell you, this is about white guilt. This is about some deep, infested cancer that we're supposed to have if our skin is white. To think that we owe these people something from the way their ancestors were treated.
Mac, it's called white guilt syndrome. And one of the leading proponents of white guilt syndrome is none other than a former president of the United States, Jimmy Carter, whose family happened to have owned slaves that worked on their peanut farm. So anytime you try with affirmative action to rectify one injustice, you end up creating another injustice because invariably you're discriminating against another group.
Yeah. So we have supposedly this white guilt syndrome. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop. And this guy, Mr. Williams, who went on this rage at a McDonald's on Euclid yesterday and said that McDonald's was racist because they had no colored skinned toys in the McBoxes for the kids.
Well, here's the question. What was Mr. Williams? How old is he buying a Happy Meal?
He's 34.
34, and he's buying a Happy Meal for himself or complaining about the Happy Meals.
I just don't know what we're going to do. What would Jesus do? I'm going to get out my good old WWJD. Well, don't you think he would be as furious as he was in the temple when he caught the money changers ripping people off in his father's house? Don't you think he would turn around and look at all people of every skin color and say, enough is enough. You were created in my Father's image. You are not black, you are not white, you are not Asian, you are not Latino, you are a child of God.
Child of the living God.
244-0077. Is this whole show going to go by and nobody's going to have a comment? Except Jill. Jill had a comment. Jill says she would rather be called a Northern European American. We're coming back live here on The View.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
Screw Tape Letters coming to C.Y. Stevens in Ames on the 14th day of April. Tickets are still available through the box office. We will have Max, who plays the accuser in the Screw Tape Letters. He'll be on with us a week from tomorrow, the 19th. He was scheduled for today but had to cancel. And so he'll be on a week from tomorrow. Tickets are now available at the C.Y. Stevens box office. Now, if you think today's show is spicy, wait till we get to tomorrow. Tomorrow, the wonderful people who own the Gortz House in Grimes, who had their business basically stolen from them by two men who wanted to get married there. And the Gortzes, who are devout religious Christians, Mennonites, don't get much more religious than that, said, no, I'm sorry, this is our business, and we don't want that. And 3 years later, they've had to close their catering part of it to have weddings and events there. And they're probably going to lose their business because they didn't have the religious right to deny service. A service, by the way, these men could have gotten at 100 places in Des Moines. But they targeted them because they wanted to make a point, and they did. What's the point? That'll be tomorrow with the Gortzes. All right. Guy walks into McDonald's 1:30 yesterday afternoon. 34-year-old Lance Jordan Williams buys a cheeseburger, sits down, takes the cheeseburger back, and says, somebody took a bite out of this. Just beyond me. Then starts yelling that McDonald's is racist because they have no dark-colored skinned toys in the McDonald's toy box. Threatens people. Threatens to come over the counter. Starts calling a Latino person racist names. Police finally came, arrested him. He went to jail for 24 hours. I wish Lance Jordan Williams would call me. I'd like to understand how in the Lord's name we're ever going to end this racial commentary that seems to be at the root of everything that's going on, including destroying an entire town. You know, I'll tell you what. What's that town in Jefferson or Missouri again? Ferguson. Why can't I remember that?
It's a suburb of St. Louis.
Why would anybody in their right mind, as a business person, ever open a business there? Why would I invest a moment of my time and a penny of my money to go to a community where if they decide one day that they were wronged by a policeman with a skin color other than their own, ... parenthesis, by the way, they were wrong, parenthesis, exclamation point. I'm sorry, exclamation point, parentheses. They destroyed their community because of their racial commentary.
Did you hear in that the witness 109 and witness 113 were reluctant to tell the truth about the fact that Michael Brown did not have his hands up and did not say don't shoot because they were afraid of the blowback they would get in their own community?
Yeah, it didn't match the narrative.
But here's the problem with race in this country, Mac. It's a cottage industry that basically secures for the Democrats a permanent voting base that votes for their candidates no matter who they toss out there at the rate of 90% Democrat to 10% conservative. And it's being run by a bunch of race baiters and race merchants like Al Sharpton who won't let race die. We can't move past race in this country when there's people making a living on the fact that there is racism. You got the Justice Department out there and Eric Holder constantly ginning up angst in this country because of voter ID laws that they say are basically unfair to the black community. And Holder has a speech before the NAACP about the inequity of the voter ID laws. But guess what? You had to have you had to have an ID to get in and see the speech.
Yeah.
You've got the new movie Selma that's come out, and it didn't get enough recognition by the Oscars. So there was protest that Sniper got too much, and Selma didn't get enough. Then going back to Waco, Texas, of all things, go back and remember David Koresh and our Justice Department and Janet Reno burnt down Waco, Texas. And Al Sharpton says Waco, Texas was a racist event because he asserted that because there was whites in Waco, the standoff was allowed to go 54 days, and if it would have been a neighborhood in Philadelphia, they would have burned it down in 3. This is the kind of things that this rhetoric, this hot rhetoric that gets tossed around in this country, and it goes right to this story about the guy protesting someone bit into a sandwich at McDonald's because everybody's so hypersensitive to offend somebody of color in this country that we can have no serious discussion, no serious dialogue in this country about race because everything is claimed to be racism. We can have racial commentary without being racist.
It's too late now. But somebody should have taken that bit into hamburger and run a DNA test on it. I mean, the problem is when the truth comes, and let me back up. For those of you just tuning in, I'm talking about worldview. Skin color means nothing to me. It means everything to my opponents. Everything. I guarantee you I've been called a bigot and a racist 4 dozen times since 3 o'clock this afternoon. Not to myself, not to my face, of course, because my phone hasn't rang. Phones are on, right? We paid the bill. Can you just put a dial tone on there just to prove to me that... Can I do that in here? Just put a dial tone on? I can't? I just want to make sure that the phones are working.
You can pick it up and hit the top button and you'll get a dial tone.
Will it go on the air?
Now put that phone up to the
the
speaker.
Anyway. It is a worldview that is not a biblical worldview.
Well, let me ask you a question, Mac. How do you think we're ever going to eliminate the use of the N-word in this country if certain people are allowed to say the word and certain people aren't?
Yeah, why is it hate speech if I say it, and if they say it, it's socially acceptable?
Dr. Laura Schlesinger said the word 17 times in a diatribe she had on her program, but yet I would contend that Chris Rock says that word the same amount of times in the first 5 minutes of his opening monologue, his comedy routine. He'll say the word that many times in the first 5 minutes. Then we had Stephen A. Smith, the black commentator on ESPN Sports, talk about, well, yes, we need to eliminate the use of the word, but we can't allow ourselves to be put in the same soup bowl with the whites, meaning that they're still excusing themselves of their persistence in using the word when they want everybody else to stop using the word. We're only going to be able to stop using the word if everybody will stop using it.
All right, we're going to take our last break. When we come back at this very moment in time, your tax dollars, your very high taxed dollars, are being used at the Supreme Court, the Iowa Supreme Court, to justify that telemed abortions are not health care. Yeah. You know, if you just woke up from a time machine, you're Brandon Fraser, and you just woke up, climbed to the top, and you found out that people could defend people giving abortions, you went, The world's on fire. It's crazy. It's genocide. We're coming back live on The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
All right, we're back. 8 minutes left in the program. I bet you'll be glad when this program's over, won't you? Yeah, I know I will. I'm just outraged. Two stories today just lit me on fire. One is a guy at McDonald's at 1:30 in the afternoon yesterday got arrested. Tuesday, got arrested because he claimed somebody took a bite out of his sandwich, and they refunded his money. I mean, nobody took a bite, right? I mean, you know that, don't you? Well, they could have, and McDonald's workers. No, they didn't, okay? Then the guy started yelling that McDonald's was racist because they had no dark-skinned toys in the McDonald's boxes for kids. And then he threatened someone of Latino background by calling them racist names. I mean, just blows me away. Now, today, you've got the Iowa Supreme Court justices hearing arguments about whether state regulators were legitimately trying to protect patient safety when they ordered limits on a telemedicine abortion system, or if they were really trying to limit access to a safe legal form of health care. What? You see what they've done? The devil, the accuser, has changed the narrative to say abortion's okay. In fact, it's so okay, you can do it by phone. Yes, doctor, my name's Betty, and I'd like an abortion. Ding! Open the drawer, take a pill, and that's called health care. Health, hold on. Let me make sure you get this. Health, Health. Care, Care. You care for health.
What about the health of the child?
You mean the zygote?
That don't count. The unviable tissue mass, I should say.
But yet, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that as that woman is driving to Planned Parenthood to get quote-unquote health care for her unborn child, if Frank, in his 69 hot red Camaro with a 4-speed Hurst and Krager wheels, were to come flying around the corner and sideswipe her and the baby dies,
What if I was
Frank is charged with manslaughter.
What if I was just walking down the sidewalk as she was headed for the abortion mill, and I happened to stick my foot out and trip her, and she had a miscarriage and a death of a child? I think I would be charged with something.
Manslaughter
at minimum.
Yeah. But yet, if Frank didn't trip her and the Camaro wouldn't start and the woman made it to Planned Parenthood, that's called a woman's right to choose. And I'm not picking on women. Because you know what? I'm pro-choice. Oh, what? What? Max pro-choice? Yeah, you have a choice of whether you have sex that's unprotected or not. Your mama and daddy told you about the birds and bees, and if they didn't, Netflix did. And if they didn't, HBO did. And if they didn't, somebody at church did. Well, if you have unprotected sex, you may get pregnant. And if you get pregnant, you don't kill the baby. If you don't want the baby, then you give the baby to somebody who wants a baby. If you don't want the baby, then you give the baby to the state, and the state will find somebody that wants a baby. If you don't want the baby, then the next time you choose to have unprotected sex, don't. If you really want to be pro-choice, then choose to be responsible for your actions. And ladies, hopefully I'm not talking to you, because I think people that listen to this radio station are fairly sane. But if you think you can do anything with your body that you want,
it's my body. You can't tell me what to do with it.
Get naked and run down the street and see what happens. Stand at the corner liquor store and try to sell it. Cut off your arm. Take out a liver. If you got a brain, take that out too. And see if you can legally sell it. Because you know what? You don't have control over your body. Except to kill the unborn child that you made. And now we're spending thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars today, which could go for so many more things, to try to prove that getting a pill over the telephone it is acceptable health care for the patient when there are two patients in the room. I don't know. I opened the news today, and Iowa lost their quarterback. Why isn't that the top story? There's some preacher who's he's a Latino background, and he's being extradited back to his homeland because his papers ran out, and we can't make him a citizen. Here's a guy with a family who praises Jesus and teaches others the same, that we can't figure out how to make him a legal citizen, but yet the president of the United States can open the borders and invite millions of people across, and we have one of the worst flu epidemics in the history of this country in the last 1 year. It's Frank, check again. Do I have stupid written on my forehead?
Apparently, because it sounds like you don't like abortion on demand.
I don't like abortion, period. I am here today because I was conceived by a college freshman and a professor. One of them was married, and it wasn't my mother. And because Roe versus Wade wasn't legal, I'm here today because she told me in a very gentle, loving voice, the truth is, if I could have had an abortion, I would have. But it wasn't legal, and we feared backroom abortions back in the 40s and 50s.
Now, how many legal abortions
56
created
million.
in the image of God have we destroyed since Roe v. Wade?
Well, I figure we destroyed the guy who was going to cure cancer. The woman who was going to bring incredible peace and serenity to a country. I'm pretty sure that we killed dozens of preachers and teachers.
Somebody that comes up with the research for AIDS that discovers a cure?
Yeah. That's who we killed. We didn't kill unwanted babies. We killed God's children. All because you can't take responsibility for your actions, which really what I want you to do is just to be responsible. So you don't have those actions. And guys, I'm talking to you too. Zip it up, dude. Zip it up. Just what you thought you'd hear on a Christian radio station on a Wednesday afternoon. It gets better. Tomorrow, the folks that own the Gortz house, whose entire lives have been ruined by two boys who wanted to get married to each other in their private facility, when there were hundreds to choose from in a 20-mile radius. The Gortzes will be here tomorrow. Until then, forgive me, would you? Give me some extra grace. I'm needed it. As my pastor says, I'm an EGR, extra grace required. Because today I see this world just going to heck in a handbasket. Maybe Michael Mudloff can bring some sense into it. He's next with True Blue on The Truth.